Good morning, traders. This is your daily market breakdown. I am on GBP USD on the weekly time frame. And now looking at the GBP, we can see that we are in a bullish market. We can see that we're trading above the 200 EMA quite recently. A lot of the news on the lower time frames have been causing a lot of disruption in our trading. So it's been a very frustrating last couple of days, I must admit. However, what we're beginning to see is a little bit more structure forming when we zoom into the higher time frames. As we can see, we're trading above the 200 EMA. The price had come down into this verified weekly demand and is now beginning to push up. So what we are looking for are long positions throughout this week and hopefully into next. If I drop down to the 4-hourly frame, we can see that the price has been making these higher highs and these higher lows. Also, the price came down into this verified demand zone, price action then rejected the price, pushing it up even higher, breaking market structure before then seeing a change of character on the 4-hour frame back into the downside, grabbing liquidity that was resting below this low before then pushing the price up, breaking market structure. And once again, we saw the price come down aggressively. The market rejected the sellers at this price point before then reversing into the upside. So what I am waiting for at the moment is on the lower time frame to see some really clear breaks of structure before then entering into a long position, potentially targeting this previous high, or that would be my target, my first potential target, price target 1, and then my price target 2 will be targeting the highs resting above here. Heading over to Euro USD on the weekly frame, again, we can see that we're trading above the 200 EMA. That means we are looking for long positions on the Euro US dollar. Similarly to the GU, we have been seeing a lot of volatility on the lower time frames, likely stopping a lot of you guys out. It has been just such a rocky road these last couple of days. I completely agree. However, what we are seeing is that the price pushed up, it came down, re-entered one of these weekly verified demand zones before then pushing itself up again, breaking market structure, grabbing liquidity, changing character, pushing itself back down in demand zone before then pushing itself up even further, breaking market structure once again, forming a new demand zone on the weekly. And now we're beginning to see a reaction here, pushing the price up. So if I drop down to the daily frame, what we can also see is that the price had reacted to this newly formed area of demand that was created. So what I would then be looking for is long positions from this demand zone. And how I would be looking for those positions is on the lower time frames. So again, on the 4-hour frame, we can see that price has been moving upward, producing these higher lows and producing these higher highs, now crossing over the 200 EMA. So the price now coming back down, we can see it broke the market structure, it came back down to this area. I would then be looking to enter into a position from this location, putting my stop below these previous lows and targeting a 1 to 2 risk to reward ratio. Or if you are less ambitious, maybe you would maybe want to look at targeting this location over here on the euro dollar. So again, looking for long positions on the euro dollar throughout this week. Heading over to USD JPY, again, this is a currency pair I've not been playing or trading with. Kind of unfortunate because the prediction was generally quite accurate, where we saw this huge amount of manipulation by the Bank of Japan, and now we are seeing that slow climb back up to the 160 mark, and this is ultimately the area that I would then begin looking at for short positions on the USD JPY. So we can see that the price has been climbing up very slowly up into this position, but again, I'm very precarious, very cautious on this currency pair, mainly because of all of this manipulation that happened throughout last week. So I hadn't been trading this, or I'm not even looking for positions, at least until I see what happens when the price hits the 160 mark in this area. If there's a strong push into the downside and it's a slow push into the downside, breaking market structures, then I would likely be looking for short positions. But if it is an aggressive push into the downside, signaling more manipulation, then I'm just going to abandon this pair until it sorts itself out. Heading over to the DXY on the weekly frame, again, this has been just such a rocky road. It's been so volatile. We can see that there was a really nice clear trend pushing itself down, and then we just entered into this consolidating market, and it has just been horrific for all of our major pairs because obviously the conflict is raging on. It's then being put off, and then a deal might come up, and then it's off, and then we're attacking each other again, and it's just the speculation has been horrible. So actually just staying out of the markets until all of that gets resolved is not actually a bad strategy at all. Anyway, I am looking for short positions on the DXY. We can see that it has failed to break above these previous highs. This was my original prediction throughout last week in the hopes that the price would push up into the upside and grab liquidity resting above these previous highs. But again, we're not seeing that. We're seeing a lot of rejection happening at the moment. And we're seeing a lot of people betting on a ceasefire deal happening. So again, it's a very speculative move, I understand. But I am looking for short positions if I were to enter into this market. So for example, what I mean by that is that on the lower frames, I'd be looking for a potential area of supply. In fact, we have already seen this on the 4-hour. We saw the price come down. It then re-entered into that supply zone. And now we're looking for a push again into the downside, breaking market structure, breaking these previous lows. So I would then be looking, if I were to trade this market, I would be looking for something such as this. And that is it. Even if I get stopped out, that's it. I won't be touching this currency pair for this currency for a little while until all of that gets sorted. But this would be the most ideal setup that I would be looking for based on my technical analysis on the DXY. Heading over to XAU USD. So we are in a huge downtrend. However, if we zoom out to the weekly frame, we are clearly in an uptrend, of course, massively, because we're trading above 200 EMA and creating new higher highs and higher lows. However, what we can also see is that a weekly demand zone was formed. We saw price come down to this and have a huge reaction, huge strong rejection back into the upside. And because of this, it broke market structure, and then market came back down toward, I think this is on the daily, so I'll zoom back out, zoom into the daily in a moment. We can see the price re-enter this daily demand zone and is now having a reaction to that daily demand. And so this is what is creating a little bit of cautiousness with me, is because we're seeing the price has been coming down. It has been breaking market structure quite aggressively into the downside, but we have now entered into this verified demand zone and this daily demand zone. And because of that, we can see that there is price action because of this long wick candle pushing the price again into the upside. So actually, I'm looking for long positions on gold, especially if I'm thinking DXY is going to go down. Then as an extra sign of confluence, you often see the gold pushes itself up. Although we have seen that the gold has taken liquidity here, it is beginning to try and push itself back down again. However, it is having a reaction to the zone on the 4-hourly frame. I would not be afraid if I found a really nice entry on the lower frames to do something such as this. I would not be afraid to do a 1 to 2.5 risk to reward ratio on on gold, trying to target these previous highs. So I am looking for a long position on gold, mainly because we have now re-entered all of these this verified demand zone, and we're seeing a really strong reaction to it, right? We're seeing a potential reversal occurring once it entered into this zone. So I'm looking for a long position at the moment or this week on gold XAU. Heading over to BTC USDT, quite a similar story to what we saw on gold. Yes, we have been trending down quite aggressively. We got a change of character up here previously. As I said, I'm still relatively bullish on BTC this year, but at this point in time, everything is going against the grain and it's pushing itself down quite aggressively. If we zoom out to the daily frame, what we are seeing is that the price has re-entered into one of these daily demand zones. We know this because once the price was at this, once price was within this zone previously, it broke market structure into the upside. And now we're just seeing it trickle back down into this area, maybe grabbing liquidity that is resting below this area here, although we are beginning to see quite a nice little reaction to this zone. In addition, if we zoomed out to the weekly, we can also see the price is almost about to touch the 200 EMA, And historically, we have seen the price likes to bounce off the 200 EMA mark. Now, I am not suggesting that a reversal is about to occur, but it could potentially occur at the moment. I am actually looking for long positions because this has pushed itself down so aggressively. We are now re-entering quite a lot of higher time frame previous demand zones. Although a lot of people are liquidating their BTC, I think this is just out of fear, or a lot of people are just trying to get USDT on hand to either purchase new up-and-coming IPOs or putting it into gold, who knows, right? So I still think that a reversal is likely to occur in the next couple of days. However, I kind of want to stay out of this market. If I wasn't going to stay out of this market, I would then be looking for a long position on the lower time frames, doing something such as this, where I'd be looking at trying to maybe a 1 to 2.5, 1 to 2 risk to reward ratio, hopefully targeting these previous highs up here. And that would be my general play on BTC USDT. I think it has come pretty far down. Maybe it wants to go to the 7,000 mark, but I don't think it will break that mark. Hopefully it doesn't. And if it doesn't, and it has a strong amount of rejection at that mark, then we may begin to see the early signs of a potential reversal. There it is, traders. That is your daily market breakdown.